Thanks to GoPro and their pricing, the GoPro Hero 4 Black when it was first released was $499. The budget action camera market saw the perfect opportunity to take advantage of a situation to offer video in a small form factor action camera for all of us to use. And it was only a quarter of the price of what a GoPro was running. And my first action camera was the SJCAM SJ4000. By the way, tell me in the comments section, what was your first action camera that you ever purchased and used? And what action camera are you using right now? Because I'm really curious to see what everybody's using right now. And by the way, quick little caveat, I can't show you each and every action camera that I've ever reviewed. Reason why, the video would be like over an hour. So if there's an action camera that I missed that you are familiar with, that's why. The bar was now set in 2015 with SJCAM with the release of the SJ4000, which gave really nice image quality, but this is before electronic image stabilization was even a thing, even with GoPro like the GoPro Hero 4. Now, it was only in 2016 that Gimbals actually came into the market to be able to offer us some stabilization with our action cameras, and we could use it with the GoPro, which was a big deal back then. Now, it was only in 2016, actually it was late 2016, when GoPro released the GoPro Hero 5 Black, which offered electronic image stabilization in 1080p, not in 4K, but it had great 4K, and everybody thought the electronic image stabilization was phenomenal back then in the GoPro Hero 5. Then there were companies like Evo that came out with a gimbal where you could actually use your GoPro Hero 5 with a gimbal to get that 4K nice, smooth, buttery smooth image stabilization. But the nice thing was you could use that gimbal on your budget action cameras. Now, next up for me was the SJCAM SJ5000X Elite. It had image stabilization at 1080p, but it had 4K, but it was interpolated 4K. But there was a lot of great things starting to happen now with SJCAM. Then came the SJ6 Legend. Still good image quality, 4K was still interpolated, but now the image stabilization was even a little bit better. Now at this time, SJCAM, they actually really started making a big name for themselves and made a lot of waves in the budget action camera market when they released the SJ7 Star. It used the Umbrella chipset, which GoPro had used for many, many years. They had real 4K, good image stabilization at 1080p, not at 4K yet. Good audio quality, but the big thing was the build quality went from that cheap plastic up to an aluminum build on the housing, which was a big stride forward for SJCAM and also for all the budget action camera users. Now, it was during these times that a lot of companies started popping up offering budget action cameras to the market, which was a good thing for all of us. And THIEYE came out with the T5e, used an Umbrella chipset, real 4K, no image stabilization yet with THIEYE, but it had very good video quality, good stabilization at 1080p, and very good audio. And of course, right after the T5e, THIEYE, they released the T5 Edge, which did have 4K with image stabilization, and then right after that was the THIEYE E7, real 4K with image stabilization. Then, of course, we have to mention a company that really made a name for itself, and that is Akaso. Now, they first came out with the V50, which looked a lot like the THIEYE E7, same kind of body style, or was it the THIEYE T5 Edge? I think it was a THIEYE T5 Edge is what the V50 looked like, but it offered 4K, image stabilization, really good price, and then right after that, Akaso came out with the V50 Pro, which was a huge success for Akaso. Whole new design, whole new camera design as far as the outside housing, 4K, image stabilization at 4K, pretty good audio, although it did suffer from a little bit of rolling shutter with that camera, but now this is where Akaso really starts to get the ball rolling. But the one camera that really made a name for Akaso was the V50X. Real 4K, even better image stabilization because it was a little bit more of a crop in it. It was supposed to be 170 degree field of view, but their electronic image stabilization had to crop in more on the image to be able to stabilize that image better. Had decent audio quality, a little bit of an audio video sync problem after a few minutes of recording, But that's the camera that really took Akaso up to the next level, because at a price point of $99, everybody that wanted an action camera was able to get onto the train with Akaso with the V50X. And just like that, bam, the race was on. All sorts of companies were coming up out of the woodwork with these new name brands, and it was kind of a regurgitation of the same body style, but they were offering 4K, they were offering image stabilization. Like I said, the race was on now, because they were all trying to take advantage of this untapped market. Then there was a company called FIREFLY. Now, FIREFLY came out with the 8S, and then they came out with the 8SE, which in my opinion was a phenomenal action camera. Umbrella chipset, 4K image quality, no stabilization though at 4K, but their 1080p had very good image stabilization, the audio was good, all around a fantastic camera from FIREFLY. So while I'm at this point, I might as well go ahead and throw in some video samples of some of these action cameras so you can see what it was and how the level has changed from the 4000 as we start to move up through the years. And this is it, the SJCAM 4000. This was my first action camera that really got it started for me, because I didn't want to spend all that money on a GoPro. But this is the SJCAM 4000, the one that really started it all for the budget action camera market. Then if you were a follower of this channel in the beginning, a lot of this channel's content was geared around this camera. The SJCAM 5000X Elite. Really nice image stabilization, decent audio, very nice image quality for the time. SJ5000X Elite. Then of course SJCAM's, their next offering was the SJ6 Legend. Now the 4K was still interpolated just like it was on the 5000X Elite, but they improved the image stabilization. It had a very nice housing on it, kind of upgraded it as far as its build quality, and I thought it was a pretty good camera back in the day. Then SJCAM really stepped it up with the SJ7 Star using the Umbrella chipset, which was something that GoPro was using. And SJCAM, they really made a name for themselves. Yes, they did with the 4000 and the 5000X Elite, but with the SJ7 Star, they really made a name for themselves because it was real 4K, no image stabilization yet, but great build quality. Then my first THIEYE camera, the THIEYE, also using the Umbrella chipset and offered real 4K, no stabilization yet, but this one here at 1080p, you got really nice image quality, good audio quality. The build quality, well, I've already mentioned that it looked like a 3D printer, but all in all, it was a really nice camera. And then THIEYE came out with the T5 Edge, real 4K with image stabilization. Good, decent audio. You know, hey, the budget action camera market's starting to step up now. And then THIEYE came out with the E7, another real 4K action camera with electronic image stabilization. Pretty good image quality, good stabilization, and good audio. Wow, the market's really starting to expand. And then there was the FIREFLY, the 8SE. What a great action camera. I do have it on the gimbal right now because I want to show you some nice buttery smooth footage with this thing, but the image quality is superior. I think that the audio quality was great with this. And like I talked about, you know, during the early days, gimbals were the thing with action cameras. Not so much anymore because stabilization has improved, but FIREFLY 8SE, one of my favorites. So you might say, well, you know, Andre, why the need for this video? And that's a really good question. But I wanted to give you a little bit of a history of what brought about the whole action camera market regarding the budget action camera market. Because finances were getting tough. You know, when you're thinking about a GoPro Hero 4 Black at $499, that's a lot of money for the average consumer. When you can get an action camera for $60, like I got my SJCAM 4000 for $60. Well, hang on, it may have been $65. But a drop in a bucket compared to $500 for a GoPro, and it really helped out people that are on a very tight budget, everyday people that wanted to be able to be part of that whole action camera scene and be able to take some action video, family videos, and be able to post them up onto YouTube or onto Facebook, etc. Unfortunately, some of these companies are gone now, and if they're not gone, they're not doing action cameras anymore, and that's a shame. But then again, with the chip shortage that's been going on, and a lot of people realize that, like with the new Sony mirrorless cameras, there's a chip shortage all around, whether it's from automobiles or to cameras. So that's really affected what's going on now in mid to late 2022 regarding action cameras in the little budget segment, but I think it's going to rebound here pretty soon. Now, don't get me wrong, I'm not saying that GoPros are bad. I like them. The GoPro Hero 10, I think, is a beast. The GoPro Hero 9, well, we all know it has an audio issue that is a hardware problem. GoPro won't address it. The GoPro Hero 8, no problems. The GoPro Hero 7 was the big leap for them because the 6 was kind of a bastardized 5 going into the 7. The color science on it was terrible. The image stabilization was really not all that good. They tried, but it just wasn't all that good. But you know, you got companies like GoPro that give you the best of the best out there, and then you've got Insta360 with the RS model that gives you some great action camera footage and stabilization and image quality and audio. These are all pluses for those that can afford it. So the moral of the story is, get what you can afford and make the best of it. The beginnings of this channel was based around the SJCAM SJ5000X Elite. There was a lot of videos about that camera, and SJCAM at the time was doing a lot of firmware updates, so it was a lot of things that I could put up. Just because it's budget doesn't mean that you can't use it. I got a ton of video. It's like Nathan Brendan Masters. He's on YouTube. You ought to check him out. He's done a couple of films, some long format movies, and had action cameras. The SJCAM 5000X Elite was in a lot of his scenes, and that's where he got his footage from. So now get out there and just film something. No matter what camera it is that you're using and what you can afford, just film it. And everybody was buying them up, and I'm going to cut that part out.
Hey, I'm recording a video. Can you shut the dog up?